Good morning, Mrs. Crawford. My name is Debbie, and I'm going to be your nurse today. Wanted to see, how did you rest last night?
I rested well, thank you, Debbie.
Great. I see you've got a life story. I was reading it on your chart.
The Life Stories program at Banner Heart Hospital and Banner Baywood Medical Center in Mesa, Arizona, offers a personal touch to patient care.
The Life Stories program creates a connection between the patient and the caregiver. It allows each to know the other better. And it also shows the patient that we recognize them as an individual and value the contributions that they've made to society over a life, over a career.
Good morning, Joan. How are you?
Oh, good morning, Deb.
I wanted to get with you. We've got a patient in room 4028, Mr. Lucente, and he's got a great story to be told. And I was wondering if you had time to go in and talk to him.
In addition to understanding patients' health issues, medical teams also take time to learn who patients are as individuals. To record patient stories, volunteers meet with patients or family members. During a brief interview, a volunteer talks with the patient to learn more about his or her family, spouse, birthplace, hobby, and interests. Once the patient has been interviewed, a written document is drafted based on personal life accounts. The document is placed in the patient's chart and presented to the patient as a memento.
From a nursing perspective, the Life Stories program helps us to connect the nurse and the patient. It allows us to learn a little bit more about the patient, to learn their history and be respectful of that. So the patient in 545 is no longer the hip patient. It's a patient who has a family, has 3 grandkids, lived in Minnesota, was a fisherman, and fought in the Korean War.
It makes me feel like taking care of a person and not just a patient behind a gown.
I think Life Stories is important for patients because it helps their caregivers see them as the individual that our patients perceive themselves to be, not a frail, elderly, ill person.
I decided to become a Life Stories volunteer because I saw an article in the newspaper about the program, and I thought, there's a wonderful chance for me to interview people, give back to the community.
The Life Story program is designed to create a more personalized approach to care, put patients more at ease during their stay, develop more meaningful relationships with patients, boost patient satisfaction, and provide anecdotal information staff members can reference when treating patients. Before he passed away from a terminal illness, Jessica Blair's grandfather had a life story written about him. Jessica says even though he was in a lot of pain, the life story was able to take his mind off of that.
My grandfather was a quiet guy. He was also a really big family guy. He liked to spend time with his grandkids, work out in the yard and go fishing. My uncle was in the room and he said his reaction to the life story was that he just smiled, but he did like it. He thought it represented his life very well.
Since the program's inception several years ago, physicians, staff, and patients have been pleased with its impact on patient care.
I believe that the Life Stories program has positively impacted our patient experience scores. It makes the patients feel part of the process, part of their care, and ultimately they're more satisfied with what goes on in the hospital if they can feel part of it.
Even though many patients don't like to spend time in the hospital, by knowing about the patient's childhood pet or favorite vacation spot while administering care, patients can feel more at ease with their stay and the people that are taking care of them.